Hello guys, you're welcome to this new series on Introduction to Game Development. The purpose of this series is to teach beginners that want to get into game development, the basics of game development, and it's going to teach you a couple of concepts that will make learning game development easier. Okay, so I'm going to be teaching you guys the basics in this video. Alright, so let's get started. The first thing I want to talk to you guys about is what is a game. Okay, so what's the game about? According to Wikipedia, I pulled this definition from Wikipedia. It says a game is a structured form of play, usually undertaken for entertainment or fun, and sometimes used as an educational tool. Games are distinct from work, which is usually carried out for remuneration, and from art, which is more often an expression of blah 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 blah. So essentially, what it's simply saying here is that a game is a form of play which basically we use for entertainment or just to have fun. That's essentially what the definition of a game is. And it's also some people say it's used as an educational tool, maybe used to teach a couple of concepts in an easy to understand way. So basically a game is mainly for entertainment. So I just needed to get the definition out of the way for those that don't know what a game is. So that's what a game is. So we got types of games, and here we're gonna be talking about video games specifically because we know we've got various type of games. But in this series, we're gonna be talking about video games, okay? Because that's why we're here. We're here to make video games. So I like to divide games into two types. We got 2D games and we got 3D games. So 2D games are games that are in 2 dimensions. I'm going to be showing you visual examples of that in a minute. And you can see examples of those, visual Super Mario, Sonic the Hedgehog, and etc. For 3D games, those are games in 3 dimensions. And examples of those games, you can find Grand Theft Auto, Max Payne, Need for Speed, and stuff like that. So if I were to list examples of 2D games, you find Super Mario Bros. As you can see right here. So these are called 2D games, 2-dimensional games, and you can find Sonic the Hedgehog screenshot right here. And for 3D games, you start seeing some a little graphic intensive stuff like the Grand Theft Auto right here, and you can see Need for Speed. So essentially, we're gonna be starting off with the 2D games. Then when we have enough knowledge of how 2D games work, and if we've made a couple of games in 2D, then we're gonna move over to learning about 3D games. So essentially 2D games are kind of easier to learn compared to 3D games. All right, so the next thing we should talk about is the categories in video games. Okay, categories of video games. So I list just a couple of them right here. We've got RPG, which is role-playing games. We've got sports, simulation, puzzles, platformer. We got a lot of categories that I didn't list because it's an assignment. You guys should go find various categories. We have lots of them. We have many categories of games, so you can check online or something and you can find more. These are the ones I could find off the top of my head. So yeah. So the next thing I want to explain to you guys is the tools that we're gonna be using to make games, essentially. So what are the tools that I use to make games? Well, the first thing we should talk about are game engines. All right, and the definition we've got here is a game engine is a software development environment designed for people to build video games. Developers use game engines to construct games for consoles, mobile devices, and personal computers. So essentially, this definition is telling us that a game engine is a development environment that enables people, or that is geared towards making games. So the purpose of a game engine is to make games. Okay, so it's an environment that's got all of the tools you need in one place to actually make games. All right, and examples of game engines is you find Unity, Unreal Engine, C4 Engine, Blender, CryEngine, Godot, and we have lots of game engines. I think there are hundreds of game engine out there, 2D, 3D game engines, and The purpose of all these game engines is to help you create games. One of the most popular game engines out there is Unity and Unreal Engine, but all of these other Godot is also popular, and so you can use all of these game engines to create games. So if you want to learn more about game engine, you can just your Google search away. Okay, just search Google and you're gonna find explanations on each and every one of these game engine and how they work. All right. So let's also talk about game libraries and frameworks. Okay. So these ones actually provide a minimalistic environment, for game development and other game dev tools. So essentially, these are not game engines. Game libraries are not game engines. They're just tools that allows you to use various hardware components of your computer or device, and so basically they allow you to build whatever you want. They allow you to create your own kind of stuff. They don't provide game engine functionality because they're basically just libraries. They are tools that you can use to create either your own game engine or whatever it is you want, basically. So as you can see here, they don't give us any rules on how to structure your game. You decide what to do with what and where what goes and stuff like that. All right. So if you want to learn how game engines work, or you want to create your own game engine from scratch, you're better off using game libraries or frameworks. You can build on top of them, and you have your game engine right on top. So examples of those, you're going to find Allegro 5, SDL2, SFML, libgdx, Oxygen, Cocos2dx, and etc. So there are lots of libraries, game libraries or frameworks. There are lots of them, but those are the libraries, frameworks that I listed here. If you want to find more, go to Google, hit search for game libraries or frameworks, and you should find a comprehensive list of all of this. All right. Some of these libraries, like the Allegro 5, you can use it in C or C++. I think it's got bindings for other programming languages, same as SDL2 and SFML. These are all C, C++ languages. libgdx is a Java programming language game framework. Some people regard libgdx as a game engine, but it's not a game engine. It's just a game framework, all right, or a library, whatever you want to call it. Oxygen is also a good one, Cocos2dx, and there are lots of other good libraries I didn't list here. So you guys should probably go check them out online. Search for game libraries or frameworks, and you find lots of examples. So in this series, we're going to be using Allegro 5, personally because it's my favorite. It's what I use to create my games. So, and I primarily use Allegro 5 for most of my tutorials. So it's what we're going to be using in this series. And so the language you should learn C++, because we're going to be using C++ in this series. So if you don't know C++, you should probably go pick up a good C++ tutorial. When you're done, then you can come and continue with this series. So that'll be the end of this video. In the next video, we're going to be talking about coordinate systems, where I'm going to be explaining to you guys, what a computer screen looks like and how objects are mapped where on the screen. Stay tuned, and if you like this video, hit the like button. Please subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.